That was the most Cleveland thing, the intro. Like, what was that? I will try to fix this up and make it better if it didn't come out like I wanted it to. But anyways, welcome everyone back. 32 fans, 32 different teams to the series. This is obviously my Cleveland Brown conversation. And I'm excited because as a Steelers fan, I love talking to other teams in the division just because I feel like it like gives me intel. And then I know like what the fans are saying and things like that. So welcome. If you want to introduce yourself, let us know how long you've been a fan, anything you want us to know about you, and then we will start talking about the current popular Browns, because I feel like right now they're very popular.
My name's Marshawn Powers. I'm from Cleveland. I'm somewhat in the media, not in the professional sports. I mean, I rub shoulders with some people that work alongside the Browns, cover the Browns, all of that nature. So, I would say that, yes, I am a fan by nature, but, just over the past few years, how I have been accepting the wins and the losses and all of that has been kind of changing my thought process and how I move more so as a fan. Less fandom, more realism is how I always say it.
Nice. Do you feel like because you all haven't been like very good consistently, I'll say, because you've had some seasons where you just kind of like, whatever, like they're going to do what they're going to do.
I'll be honest. So what year was that? Like 2019? I think it's 2019 we got Odell Beckham. Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham. I'm living in Washington, D.C. I'm going to college out there. I went to the University of Maryland. So, I'm talking cash money, to all my friends out there. Like, man, we got Odell Beckham. We got Baker Mayfield. Like, who could beat us? We're on top of the world. That was the first time as a Browns fan that I could, feel like I was on top of the world. Most of the time, I felt like I was just walking, depressed. My expectations was never high as a Browns fan until, about that 2017, 2018 range when I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But then when we lost to Denver, I think they had like a third string quarterback, and that was so embarrassing. I don't think anything after that could like broke my spirit. Nothing after that could break my spirit. I was like, all right, I'm over the fandom. It's time to see things for what they really are.
Yeah, I respect that. So talking about seeing things how they really are. 2024 season. How was the season for you? Like if you could summarize the season in a song, what would your song choice be for the 2024 Browns?
Trauma by Meek Mill. It was just so much trauma. I mean, oh Lord. Where do I start?
I didn't expect.
It was just so much trauma. I mean, I was at a game. I was at a game live where we played the Cincinnati Bengals. My quarterback, Deshaun Watson, at the time tore his Achilles, and not all fans were booing, but to hear a certain section of fans booing, I'm not gonna lie, I was there with my brother, and I was having like an out of body experience. Like I never noticed anything like that, and to be there and to see fans booing, it was just like, yeah, I was over the season. I was over if we won, if we lost. I didn't really give a damn at that point. Excuse my language, but I didn't care. I didn't care that how many games we won. It was just like, all right, I see people are taking this for a little bit further than what it is as a sport. And I was like, all right, I'm checked out. So it was just trauma, too much trauma. Team wasn't healthy. Amari Cooper led the NFL in so many drops through the first 4 weeks. We lost to Cincinnati twice in the season. I mean, it was just trauma after trauma after trauma.
Yeah. The one thing that it doesn't concern me as a Browns for the Browns, because I'm not a Browns fan, I'm in the division, is I was shocked how bad the offensive line was last year.
Oh my gosh.
Because usually, and I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of people that really don't watch football, that are like, I call them flyby fans.
Right.
Think the Browns have a great offensive line because they're used to the Browns having
absolutely.
line. And I don't think anybody knows how bad that offensive line was last year.
I mean, a lot of my friends in my group, shout out Off the Clock, my OTC brothers. I got to give them a special shout out, man. They making a movement here in the streets, but we argue back and forth every day about the Browns. It's not a day we don't argue about the Browns, and you know, a lot of my good, like my dude Mo, he kept saying like, Marshawn, you know, we don't have a top 5 line like you think we are. Like, this is why we don't have a top 5 line. You know, going into the season last year, we started out with Dallas, Overshown and Parsons and Lawrence coming off the edges, you know, coming up the middle and killing us, you know. So that exposed our line. The next week we had the Jaguars, not too good of a line. The following week after that, we had the Giants, Burns and Thibodeau and all of those guys, Dexter Lawrence. So they killed us. So that showed us going in those first 4 weeks just how good of a line we had. And obviously we didn't, because Watson was getting hit. I mean, we were shuffling guys here and there. You know, we had a different offensive tackle. It seemed like, you know, it was just too much movement, no consistency. And I'm praying that we see it this year, but I don't know.
Let's pick up there. So free agency. How did free agency go? How do you feel free agency went? I don't think anything splashy happened in free agency, but I could be wrong.
Correct.
So then let's just, was there any like major signings in free agency? Because Coach didn't get fired.
I would say Malik Collins, I would say our most notable signing, if you say Malik Collins, the D tackle that was on the 49ers last year. We brought back majority. Well, up until now, we signed 2 safeties a couple days ago.
And the defense never has been the problem.
Yeah. Offensively, we didn't bring back Chubb. I mean, the rumors are we're not bringing back Chubb. We replaced Chubb in the draft.
What was the guy from Ohio State?
Judkins, and then we got Dylan Sampson from the University of Tennessee. So most of our damage on the offensive side came through the draft. You know, when we got Shedeur Sanders, most notably Dylan Gabriel from the University of Oregon. Yeah. We got a kid, a Harold Fannin from Bowling Green, a Matt kid.
Oh, I like him, actually.
Yeah, so it's funny story real quick. So I do a lot of my media coverage I do up here is high school coverage. You know, I love the grassroots. So I covered Harold a few years ago when he was going to school out here at Camp McKinley High School, about an hour. Yeah, so I got a chance to, you know, I said about a year ago, I was like, man, this kid reminds me so much of like Antonio Gates. Like, you know, if the Browns get him, you know, that'd be a match made in heaven. And sure enough, a year later, we get the kid. So that's just super exciting to get a kid from the area.
So I have 2 questions. So how did you feel about Myles Garrett? Like whenever he wanted the trade and then he ended up signing obviously $40 million. I don't know anybody that would say no to $40 million, but how did you feel when he first was like, I want out. I want to win championships. I don't want to be here. Were you like, oh gosh?
No, I mean, so I think a different way from certain people, right? So I always said, you know, Myles Garrett when Myles Garrett was here, he was here to do the darkest days, you know, 1-31, you know, many quarterbacks. And, you know, they've been so desperate to build around a quarterback versus building around a guy who's obviously been loyal here. And I feel like Myles, you know, he had to stand his ground. You know, hey, you know, I've been here since day one. I know I've been as close to problem free as possible, you know, a few minor things that came up here and there, but I've been as close to problem free as possible. And I deserve to be the guy, the leader of this team that, you know, we build around, kind of how the LA Rams did with Aaron Donald, right? Like, yes, they brought Matthew Stafford out there, but all in all, that was Aaron Donald's team, if we're being honest. Right. So I think that if the Browns did that, but in the same breath, Myles Garrett also has to step up and be a leader. You know, you also have to step up in the locker room. You know, you also have to be on that forefront, you know, and maybe speak out on some things, or, you know, check a player on the offensive side of things aren't getting right. So I think, you know, now that he got that $40 million, like you said, I don't know nobody who's going to say no to $40 million. Like, come on, nobody, you know, so he got that $40 million, but it came with a lot of responsibility. We need to see a growth. I set a challenge, you know, obviously I don't know if the message will ever get to Myles, but you got TJ Watt on your team right there. Granted, we've never given Myles a running mate like in the middle, like a Cam Hayward, and we just got him. But I would love to see Myles Garrett get maybe a 20-sack season, you know, and show us that he's taking that next step and try to put it even more on the line than what most people presume, you know, to try to get us even further. So I think that's going to come with a lot of more responsibilities and maybe a lot of more criticism, because I'm not necessarily saying that Myles has been catered to in Cleveland, but Cleveland fans, media, once they love you, there's nothing you could do wrong until you crap on the city or something like that.
Yeah. And I'm very careful of what I say about teams that are in my division, because I think people are like, oh, she's a hater, she's a Steelers fan. But there's certain things about Myles Garrett where you're just like, well, give me 100% or give me 120%, 100% of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, let that be what people say is you play too hard. You're giving too much, because sometimes TJ, I'm like, bro, this ain't it. Let me tell you, this too much effort. Like, this ain't it. But he's gonna do what he's gonna do. So
no, for sure.
My second question was, did they do anything to shore up that offensive line in the draft or free agency?
In the draft, I don't even think we drafted. Well, UDFAs, we got a couple guys. We got one from North Carolina A&T. Got a couple UDFAs, but on the draft side, we didn't pick anybody up. Free agency, we went out and signed Cornelius Lucas, the left tackle that was with the Commanders last year. Okay. So we kind of got rid of Jared Wills, replaced him with Cornelius Lucas. And then we went out and signed his name, Tevin Bryan, a guard from another guard. He used to be with the Bears. So we signed a guard, mainly plays left guard, from my understanding. So I don't know, man. I don't feel comfortable again with my line.
I wouldn't either.
I would say this. I mean, they're under the assumption that you're getting DeJuan Jones to come back and he'll be a left tackle, and he'll be, to shore up the left tackle side with Cornelius Lucas. And then you'll have, or he'll be a swing, or Cornelius Lucas will be a swing tackle. He'll play left and right. Mm-hmm. And then you'll have Brian, who'll be a left guard if, Joe Padonio needs a day off. And then, we got Zach Zenner last year from the University of Michigan. So I'm assuming that they're hoping guys from last year that they drafted to step up. Okay. And we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm just used to like the Joe Thomas, like Alex Mack.
Me too.
Like
Mitchell Schwartz.
I'm like that's. Until the Browns are that, I don't know if I'm going to trust that offensive line, which again is fine with me. I'm a Steelers
Understandable.
But
I was told. Well, not I was told, but it's funny you say that. I watched a clip earlier where Joe Thomas was on a podcast. I think it's called the Dog Pound Report or the Brown and Orange, something like that. Okay. And he was saying that the Browns' offensive line wasn't as bad as people assume. The quarterback made it that bad. Because holding on to the ball, I don't necessarily think that was a shot at Deshaun or Jameis or whomever. I just think that, maybe whomever it is this year just probably need to get the ball out a lot quicker. And that has also probably to do with, Kevin Stefanski and how he schemed things.
Don't even get me started on that, man.
Oh, Lord. I saw Stefanski a few days ago, man. He's a good guy.
Listen, anyways, so okay, we all know Cleveland Browns. We all know there's all the Shedeur Sanders, like
correct. Oh Lord,
right? He was a 5th round draft pick, the very last draft pick. However, there's 4 quarterbacks in front of him: Deshaun Watson, whatever, Joe Flacco, all the guys. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room. What are your thoughts about Shedeur Sanders being on the team? How are you feeling now that we're a little bit further removed from the draft? Just so everybody knows, this is recorded on the day the schedule actually releases. But I
actually know our schedule. It's funny that you say that.
I try to protect people and what I know that they know. So
I actually know our schedule.
How are you feeling now that he's there? Are you liking it better? Do you like the move? What are your thoughts about him being an addition to the Browns organization?
So I'll say this. I mean, in the beginning, I didn't know how it would happen. Maybe I was ignorant to the fact that it could happen because it's Cleveland. I didn't believe that Cleveland could accept Shedeur Sanders. I didn't know how my city would be able to accept Shedeur Sanders. But now that he's here, I mean, it almost seems like, Shedeur is going to be able to understand a different world. Like Shedeur comes from Dallas, he went to Mississippi, helped turn that around. That was a different world. Went to Boulder, Colorado, probably didn't understand anything about Boulder, Colorado. Helped them obtain a winning culture there, different world. And now you're coming to Cleveland, Ohio, where, your aura of who you are and just that swag that you have and that winning culture that your family has and you have, and it all trickles down from your dad, Yeah. I mean, we all know. But I think I think Shedeur, he knows he has to work. Nothing here is going to come handed to him. Just because your name is Shedeur Sanders, you still have to come in here and work. The swag ain't going to get you nowhere. It's going to get you a lot of fans. It's going to get you a lot of merch sales. It's going to get you a lot of people behind you, but it's not going to get you a Super Bowl. So,
you mentioned
here's my opinion. Here's my opinion, real quick. Here's my opinion. I right now, my opinion, I don't think Kenny Pickett will be on this team. I think they'll find a trade partner for him. And that's just because it's not fair to Kenny. I think Kenny is good enough to where you could start somewhere. You could be a backup, at worst, a backup somewhere, and to have you in a situation where you're trying to compete for snaps with 5 other quarterbacks. I think out of respect, I would trade Kenny. I would find somewhere, New Orleans, for example. I think New Orleans would be kind of the perfect fit for a guy like Kenny Pickett. You get him there, if training camp, if possible, you kind of let Kenny, get to work with a team and, compete, honestly compete, Joe Flacco right now is your de facto starter because he has the most, because he's been here. He led us to the playoffs when Deshaun got hurt the last time. And, he kind of already understands what's going on here. He already understands Kevin's playbook. So right now he's the starter. If you keep Kenny Pickett in the situation, Kenny's the backup. If you remove Kenny out of the situation, I think Shedeur is the backup. And Shedeur has the inside track to, if Joe Flacco does not play well, he'll be on the field first before Dylan Gabriel is on the field, just because, he's working his tail off. He's overcommitting to the grind. And I think that kid is destined to be great. And we'll see. We'll see.
So you mentioned something that I don't think a lot of people understand, that have never been to Cleveland or have never experienced, what is it? Berea, Ohio,
yeah.
Berea, have never actually. You said it. You were like, he has to like master Cleveland. What do you mean by that? I think I know what you mean by that, just because I understand like the environment and the grit and the grind, and kind of the blue collar.
Right.
I get it. I've literally been there, lived there. Like I felt it. Right. And even I went to the stadium as a Steelers fan, and I even felt it. Right. Like, so I got it. But what is that thing that is Cleveland?
It's so. Majority of the people here are blue collar, hard nosed, hard working. A lot of people here feel like they came from nothing. They had to work for everything they get. So when you get guys that come in here and, for example, I had someone last year after we lost, they asked, why does Deshaun Watson have on designer clothing after we lost? Why doesn't he just have on simple clothing like a Nike Tech to show that he's one of us, that shows he's not bigger than us? And, or why doesn't he have on team issue gear or something like that, right? So when they feel like that you don't connect with the city well, and that you don't feel like you're one of us, then they're not going to support you. And what Shedeur is doing, or is trying to do, is connect with the city and trying to not flaunt his status of who he is, because he can very much flaunt his status of who he is, but he's just trying to feel like one of the people. He's just trying to understand what's going on in the city, put his head down and work, and a lot of people will respect that, because when you work, you win. And when you win, they really won't care what you flaunt. You could come out here in a spaceship and they're not going to care. They're going to go try to find that spaceship and buy one. Agree. So I think if you just put your head down and work and don't promise anything, that's where the people will love them. They already throwing their wrist up. So
I love it. I agree. So what is your expectation of the 2025 season? Do you think that you all are rebuilding, or do you think that you're trying to find your footing? Do you think that you're like contenders to win the AFC North? Do you think you're going to the Super Bowl? Like, where are you with the team right now?
I think this year, I don't think this is a rebuilding year. I think it would be more so somewhere in the middle of retooling. So if you compete, if you win 9 to 10 games, you shouldn't surprise people, So I would see, when I say retooling, I'm saying like anywhere between 7 to 8 wins should be your bottom floor. You should still be competing, but understand that, you may be missing holes on the wide receiver side. You may be missing holes on the offensive line side. You may still not be sure if your quarterback is your quarterback, because this is my opinion. They put JOK on PUP the other day, right? 2 days ago. Everybody and their mama swears that Deshaun Watson is out of the Browns' plans.
And we don't really know that.
And we don't know that because this guy is on social media. And I don't put a lot into social media because social media is what it is. Social media, something to get people hyped up for. Yeah. But to see this guy posting his journey of working back, and then I know the people that's recording him and supporting him. And, it's kind of like, your head's in the right way. Are you really done? Are you really?
What a wrinkle.
Yeah. Are you really are you really going to quit on the city and things of that nature? And I instant messaged him because he follows me on Twitter. That's nothing to be said about, but I had instant messaged him after he got hurt and told him like, yo, just don't give up on the city, man. Like you're going to hear a lot of negative things that comes from people in this city. But as somebody who's lived on every coast, who's lived outside of Cleveland and understand that there's life outside of Cleveland, just these people don't understand that. So just don't give up on the city. And if you work your tail off to get back here and win, that'll be the greatest sports story told, where everybody was out on you and you came back and turned the narrative around on you. And I'll say this is a hot take, but who's to say that if he doesn't come back and Shedeur Sanders, and he's the mentor to Shedeur Sanders and hangs it up early and passes the reins on to him? I mean, we don't know that,
Yeah.
Him and Dion has a solid relationship. And this is just my wild, crazy imagination thoughts, right? But who's to not say that? That's just
something to think. I think that the point you're making is Deshaun is down. He's not out. And stranger things have happened, basically. So, I
am not expecting him to play this year. I think right now the focus should be on the 4 quarterbacks that's on the field. But if that was to happen, that would be one of the, crazy story, right?
Yeah. So who do you think is the most underrated player you all have, or the most underrated position group that you all have?
Ooh, linebacker. I think we got a name that you very well know for Devin Bush. I think Devin Bush, last year and some change, Devin Bush has been really, really good for us. Obviously, he wasn't so well in at Michigan or at Pittsburgh. I wasn't really a fan of him. I had to put my bias aside, but Devin Bush has definitely been, rock solid for us. We got a guy that was a UDFA a few years ago, Mahmoud Diabate. JOK mentors him a lot. Like when JOK went out, and I swear, man, every day I send a prayer for JOK's health, because man, that's probably one of the greatest athletes that I've ever watched in the Browns uniform on the defensive side of the field that can play at his size. That dude is a monster. But he mentors Mahmoud Diabate to kind of be more like him, just a Swiss Army knife, a guy who can move in space and just do damage. We just got the hometown kid, Jerome Baker. I think that was, a really good signing for us. We brought back, what was my man that played for the Vikings? Can't think of his name off the top of my head. Can't think of his name, and then we end up signing Carson Schwarzenegger, a linebacker from UCLA, that kid is going to be a stud. He was an underrated player in the Big Ten for UCLA. That kid is going to be a stud, in my opinion.
Going linebacker for the Browns is very interesting. And I don't know if I disagree with you, but I just didn't hear you saying that. So I think that's interesting, though.
What would you think I would say? Jordan Hicks is who I was thinking of, by the way. Sorry.
Jordan Hicks from Texas?
Yep.
He's with the Browns?
Yep. He signed with us last year. He was pretty decent for us, and then he got hurt towards the back end of the season.
Got hurt. Yeah. Jordan Hicks got hurt.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jordan. That was sorry. That was very petty. Sorry, Jordan. It's not you. Okay. It's the job. Anyways, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say your secondary. I think your secondary is under, but I think what happens is you all have a solid front seven. And so usually when you have a solid front seven, nobody thinks about the secondary because the front seven is so solid. So that's what I was thinking. But I mean, linebackers is part of that front seven. So I
correct. But no, I'll say this, man. Like everybody say like our front seven is always solid, but I think it can always get better, right? Because we would always pair the edge next to Miles, and like for example, Jadeveon Clowney. Oh, Miles and Jadeveon are going to be a monster. What happened? Guys would come around the edges. Quarterbacks go right up the middle. We never had a solid D tackle.
But also whenever, because the Steelers have this issue currently, when your offense keeps going 3 and out or 4 and out turnover or whatever, it doesn't help your defense. And so no matter how I think you all's defense is actually better than it actually is. That offense is just so bad. Agreed. So again, like that complementary football, whatever the hell.
I get you. Complimentary. I get you. Yeah. I get you. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'll say this and then we can move on. I knew our season was cooked last year when we were like 28% conversions on like third down. I'm like, how is that even possible? Like that's not even good football. Like you can't even convert a third down. Like, why am I watching this? Like I'm watching the defense. I'm really not watching the offense. So that's when I knew like, all right, yeah, my season is over.
Okay. So you already gave me a hot take. I was going to ask for a hot take. Do you have another hot take besides Deshaun Watson might not be
okay. Ooh.
And then if you don't, the next question is,
all right, I got a hot take. Cool. I got a hot take that should have happened last year, but didn't happen. But I believe it will happen this year. Denzel Ward will be an All-Pro.
Ooh, see,
it should have happened last year. They gave it to the kid from Houston, which he had a solid year. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I feel like if you watch the tape and don't look at the numbers, and Denzel Ward has been a dog since he's came in. I mean, if you go back to his first game, I don't know if you remember, but Denzel Ward's first ever matchup coming into his NFL career was no more than 84. Mr. Big Chest himself, Antonio Brown. AB had 2 touchdowns on him, but he also had 2 interceptions on AB as well. So that was probably that was a match. Yeah.
That was typical Ben. Like, I'm gonna give my guy a chance, and if he doesn't come down with it, we just keep it moving. So I missed those days of an offense where I thought we were going to do something. Anyways, if you were GM for a day, what would be the first move you would make?
Browns GM?
Yeah. Very first move.
I'm probably get fired. So we got 2 first-round picks, right? And we need and in my opinion, we still need a wide receiver 1. I'm going out and trading one of those first-round picks to Miami. And I'm going to get, and I don't know, I'm going to figure out if Tyreek Hill is still unhappy or not. See if he want to come up to Cleveland and play.
Ooh, okay.
See if he want to come up to Cleveland.
You give up
I think he's worth it. Yeah. I think he's worth it. I'm going to see if they'll take a second. I'm going to see if they'll take it. I'm going to see if they'll take a second or a third and a player, their choice, like a third. And I want people to go look at my interview with Greg Newsome. So I don't want to trade Greg, but if they wanted Greg, I love you, dog. Like, I ain't trying to trade you, dog. Like, you understand the business. I ain't trying to get you out of Cleveland. Like, I want to see this WNBA team happen, but like, dog, like, see, this is why I don't like being a general manager, man. Because like, I'll be like, nah, I can't.
That's the gig. Yeah. See, I think I would be great at it. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't care. I was ready to let go of Troy before Troy's time was up. And people were like, "What is he?" I was like, "Listen, we gotta go. You gotta keep this train rolling."
If for Tyreek Hill, if they say they give me Tyreek Hill and probably like a third for Greg in a second, oh yeah, run that right now.
And to be fair, you guys have 2 first-round draft picks.
Right now. I don't need a second. Yeah, I got 2 first-round picks next year. I could get whatever I need in the first round and just skip a second or figure some way out. But yeah, no, I need it. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, overtime round, 4 questions, quick round fire. Which division rival do you love to hate the most and why?
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh easily. Because I mean, what was Big Ben's record against us? 25-2 or something like that.
25 and never lost.
25-0 or something like that. And one of my girls, and Tip even know it, D, like she called us dumpster juice. So whenever I get a chance to kick down on the Steelers and all like that, I'm gonna take my chances. And I'm gonna be real. You want to know what's, even though he's 25-0 or whatever, you want to know what's the best stat that Big Ben always gonna have to go to bed on?
Which one?
He never beat the Browns in the playoffs. He never beat the Browns in the playoffs. That's what matters the most.
I love that. That's awesome. If you could change one thing about your franchise, what would it be? So ownership, stadium. Although I think you guys are due for a stadium upgrade.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say stadium because I believe we'll get the dome. I would change.
What a bunch of wussies.
We need a dome. Like, we need a dome. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So, like, come on.
I'm sorry. We need a dome. I need to be comfortable.
Your snot to freeze on your
I've been to Detroit. I've watched games in Detroit too much to like. They're comfortable. The people look comfortable there watching football. I want to be able to do that. I'm sorry, but no. One thing I would change, we would have an official logo. Like we wouldn't have the helmet. Like we need something.
Yeah. Every time I do Browns anything, I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah, we would have a logo.
Yeah, I want our logos on both sides of the helmet. So I hear you on that. Yeah. And then if you could swap one player from your team with one player from your rival's team, who would it be and why?
Oh, this is easy. I love him. It's my dog. I'm swapping Jerry Jeudy for Jamar Chase. I'm sorry. Give me that all day. Yeah. Okay. Give me Jamar.
I love it. I don't think anybody would disagree with that trade. Probably not even Jeudy. So.
No.
He would understand. Listen, it's a business. It's a business.
I'm sorry.
And then describe your team's fan base in 3 words.
Ooh, 3 words. I'm going to do 4 because this is a phrase that they created. Shedeur to the shore. That's what they've been saying lately. Shedeur to the shore.
And it means what exactly?
That they're ready for Shedeur to take over this, like, because obviously the stadium is on the shores of Lake Erie, right? Yeah. So obviously they're ready for Shedeur to take over and be the franchise savior, and run the shore of run the stadium basically.
Yeah. So instead of the head coach having to jump in the water because you won a game, you want. Okay, I get it. It. Oh, was that a shot? Oh, okay, that was.
It's basically how Moses parted the Red Sea. Shedeur to the shore.
I love it. I also feel like your Shedeur's growing on you. I think he's growing on you, and I think this is what I think, and I could be wrong. I think once you see him and his real commitment to football and how much he loves it and how much he's going to grow and how much he's going to work hard and how he's going to love on his teammates and he's going to do all the things. Right. You know the things, right? You know what I'm talking about, like the things. No. He's going to do all those things.
I could take that.
He's doing all of those things, so you can just count that in.
Right.
And if he gets that chance, just like he's going to be like a little gnat. Like if he can get in, you know what I mean? Like the last drills in practice and leave everybody with the wow. Or if he gets that, then he's in there. So, and I think when it's all said and done, you're going to be like, you know what? Maybe he should start wearing his watch.
Man, anyway, I'm gonna say maybe he put his grill in and play with his grill.
You see what I'm saying? You're gonna kind of start being like, well, I don't think we need that swag. Because the one thing I always say is winners like swag. Winners like confidence. Winners like people being themselves and not apologizing. Winners like everything Shedeur is. And that is why I've always said he's going to be successful, because he exudes what you want. You want to follow that type of person. And he's going to give you that. So I have my money on Shedeur. I'm pissed that he didn't go to the Steelers. I still have issues with that. I understand the business side of it, but I'm still pissed at it. Let me just say that. So I'll just leave that where it's at.
I'm going to ask you this before we get out of here.
What's up?
If God makes a miracle and Deshaun comes back, how would you as a Steelers fan deal with having your rivals having too much swag with Deshaun and Shedeur? Like, how would you deal with that?
I wouldn't care, because the Steelers aren't about swag. Like, that's not our brand. Obviously. That's not, like, people get mad like when Mike Tomlin rocks black Air Force Ones. Like, so, you know.
They ain't about paying people either, so apparently.
So to me, I don't mind watching other teams and honestly what I feel like waste their salary cap on things that they shouldn't. And I think Cleveland is very good at wasting their salary cap on things that they shouldn't. And so I don't mind. Hey, keep Deshaun Watson as long as you want to, because the thing is now there's not a lot less that you can pay him. It's going to be really hard if he comes out and shines and balls to pay him.
Well, less. Yeah, he'll get paid. Probably another 200 mil. And it ain't my money. Listen, if it was my money, Lord knows, you know.
So as a competitor, though, for me, that means you're going to have $100 million tied up in two guys, a quarterback and a pass rusher, Myles Garrett. So for me, I love that.
Hey, listen, hey.
But I want Shedeur Sanders, so I don't.
I'll give you Shedeur. I'll trade you Shedeur if Watson gets help, if he sticks around and shocks the world. If he doesn't, you can't get him. TJ Watt.
Really? That's not even an even trade. At least take like a Minka or something. Like that's not even a Steelers.
I think about that. Hey, listen, they say start high and buy low.
Yeah.
So now I'll think about that.
Maybe you would like a Highsmith.
I could think about that. I could. See,
we can get a deal done.
There we go. See, this is how GM for a day might work.
That's it. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. Anything you want to say? I don't think I said this at the beginning, but I will put anything you want me to put in the description box. So obviously I'll put your Instagram, Twitter, anything you want me to put in there, I'll put in there so people can clearly go and find all of the stuff that you're doing, follow you, I'm following you, and all those different things. And this is the first conversation we've ever had too. I usually say that at the beginning so people no, I just don't feel like we have enough we don't have conversations with people anymore. So I always just like to call out, like, this is how you have conversations with people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate you, man. Even though you say I was
Are we gonna put that out there? Are we gonna put that out there?
Even though you said I was ducking you. No, I wasn't ducking you. No.
You said it, not me.
Oh man.
No, anyways, you want to tell people where to follow you or anything else that you follow you or anything else you want to end with?
Yeah, man. If you Searchon90, Searchon90 on Twitter, Searchon_90. Started my own brand lately. M on Twitter is at Empowers Media 216. On Instagram is at Empowers Media. I'm just trying to give these kids in the Cleveland area, the Midwest area, who don't have a platform. I'm just trying to give them a platform. And, anybody greatly appreciate if anybody could just help me spread these kids who trying to get to the next level. Just kind of share what they do and how great they are. That's really all I'm about right now.
One more question. Have you ever experienced Texas high school football?
I did. So funny story.
So compare it to Ohio football.
Oh Lord, it's a lot different. I used to live in West Texas. I lived in so you remember Friday Night Lights, Permian Basin High School?
Yes.
I went to a few of those games out in Odessa. And man, I'll say this. Ohio high school isn't bad. Ohio high school's top, probably top. It's definitely top 5. Like we ain't no scrubs. Like Division I high school in the state of Ohio is really good football because you're dealing with not only Cleveland, where I am, Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, Toledo. Like there's powerhouses. Like in Cleveland alone, we have St. Ed's that's a powerhouse. We have Garfield Heights that's about to be a powerhouse. My guy Max Stevens is over there. You still got Hoban. Like we got some solid schools up here. So don't get me wrong. You got that Duncan. You got Duncanville down there in the Dallas area. That's a monster. That's a powerhouse. But I feel like our best against their best. If we did best of 5, we'll probably go 2-3. We'll split, and then the best we'll win. We'll split 4, and then the best one takes the best of 5. I think we could split with Texas. I believe in my state.
Interesting. I love it. We're ending with that because I just want to say, I don't think people realize how great high school football is in Ohio.
Amazing.
We don't talk about it, and it's not on the forefront. And so. Anyways, that's why I just wanted you to say that. And so I appreciate you coming on.
No
and I'm
problem.
Sure we'll talk again soon.
Oh, you already know.
If I won't even say it. Anyways, we'll talk soon.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.